So today we're diving into a summary of Dr. Joseph Murphy's classic book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
Right. A foundational text for many people.
It really is. And our missions, you could say, is to understand the core principles he lays out about the subconscious.
And maybe see how they might apply to, your own life, your goals.
Precisely. So think about this for a second. Have you ever wondered why some people just seem to, well, attract good things almost effortlessly?
While others seem to constantly struggle.
Yeah. And could the answer, or part of it anyway, actually lie in what people fundamentally believe?
That's the big question Murphy tackles, isn't it? It really gets to the heart of his work.
Okay, let's really get into this then.
So his central idea is that we have essentially two minds working together, the conscious and the subconscious.
Okay, the conscious mind,
Uh-huh.
that's the one I'm using right now to follow along, right? The logical part.
Exactly. It's your thinking mind, the one making decisions, analyzing things, like the captain on the bridge of a ship, setting the direction.
Got it. Captain on the bridge. So the subconscious.
Ah, the subconscious. Murphy sees that as let's say, the massive engine room below deck. Powerful, unseen mostly.
Engine room. Okay. Running things automatically.
Yes, exactly. Breathing, heartbeat, all that stuff happens without you thinking about it. But crucially, he believes it also holds our habits, our deepest beliefs.
And potentially shapes our destiny. That sounds huge.
It is a big claim, and the key thing he stresses is how it works. It doesn't really reason or argue like the conscious mind.
Doesn't judge.
Right. It basically accepts whatever it's told, especially when it's told repeatedly and with feeling. Think of it like fertile soil
Okay, so whatever seeds you plant.
are the things that are likely to grow. So if you constantly feed it thoughts like, I am capable, I'm confident, it takes that on board.
And starts to act as if that's true.
That's the idea. But the flip side is also true. If the dominant thoughts are more like, I always mess up, or I'm not good enough.
Then that's what it accepts and works with.
Yeah. So it's like this continuous feedback loop. What you impress upon it tends to shape your reality, your experiences.
It's like programming, isn't it? The input dictates the output.
That's a pretty good
Yeah.
analogy. And the summary we looked at gives examples, right? Someone believing I'm confident and successful versus someone stuck on I always fail.
You can see how that would lead to very different paths.
Absolutely. Murphy's point is that these deep beliefs held in the subconscious really do steer the ship.
Okay, it's really making me think. So if the subconscious is this powerful engine, how do our everyday moment-to-moment thoughts fit in?
Well, that brings us to another really core idea from the book, something the summary emphasizes. You become what you think about all day long.
That's a powerful statement.
It is. It suggests a direct link, between our habitual thinking patterns and the kind of results we actually see in our lives.
So it's not just about wishful thinking, but consistent thought patterns having real effects.
That's Murphy's argument. He's saying there's a definite correlation. Positive thinking tends to attract positive outcomes, and, well, negative thinking attracts the opposite.
And the summary mentions specific examples.
It did. There was the story about someone visualizing healing from an illness, and the implication is that this mental focus contributed to their recovery. And another one, the woman who kept repeating an affirmation about wealth, something like, wealth flows to me.
In avalanches of abundance. I remember that one. It sounds a bit out there, maybe.
It can sound that way on the surface, but Murphy would say it's not magic. It's about the combination of consistent repetition and genuine belief.
Belief is the key ingredient then.
He stresses that, yes. It's about impressing that idea onto the subconscious until it accepts it as fact. That's when it starts to influence things, your actions, your opportunities.
Okay, right. So if we want to actually use this power, how do we start? How do we reprogram this subconscious engine? The summary mentioned techniques.
Yes, there are a few main ones he suggests. First up are affirmations.
Okay, affirmations, like positive self-talk.
Pretty much. They're positive statements you deliberately repeat to yourself regularly. The example given was, I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Right.
But again, it's not just rattling off words. Murphy emphasizes the importance of feeling the truth of the statement as you say it. Generate that feeling of conviction.
And he mentioned specific times are better, like before sleep.
Yes, just before sleep and just upon waking. The idea is that the conscious mind, the critical factor, is less active then.
So the suggestions can sink in more easily.
That's the theory. Your subconscious is considered more receptive during those times.
Okay, that makes sense. Getting past the inner critic, what's the next technique?
Visualization. This one's about using your imagination actively.
Like daydreaming. but with focus.
Exactly. You create a really vivid mental picture of your desired goal, but crucially, you picture it as already achieved.
Already done. Why is that part important?
Well, Murphy suggests that the subconscious mind has a hard time telling the difference between something vividly imagined and something that's actually happening.
Huh. Interesting.
So, by consistently visualizing your success, feeling the emotions associated with it, you're sending a very strong message to your subconscious. You're essentially programming it with that reality.
So if I want that promotion, I should really picture myself in the new office, feeling confident, doing the work.
Yes, engage your senses in the visualization. What does it look like? Sound like? How does it feel? The more real you make it mentally, the stronger the impression on the subconscious.
Okay. Affirmations, visualization.
Yeah.
What's the third one?
The third is about consciously choosing faith over fear.
Faith over fear. That sounds less like a technique and more like a fundamental mindset shift.
It really is. Murphy argues that fear is incredibly destructive in this context. He almost calls it praying for what you don't want.
Wow. Praying for what you don't want. That's stark.
It is, because when you dwell on fears, on anxieties, you're focusing your powerful mental energy on negative outcomes.
And the subconscious just takes that as the instruction.
That's the danger, according to Murphy. So he advocates actively replacing fearful thoughts with faith, a confident expectation of a good outcome.
So it's about training yourself to expect the best, not bracing for the worst.
You've got it. It's a deliberate mental discipline nurturing positive anticipation.
Okay. These are powerful ideas. The summary also talked about how this applies to specific areas, like health.
Yes, the mind-body connection is a big theme for Murphy.
The idea that our thoughts can actually impact our physical health, that's fascinating.
He definitely believed in a profound link there. The summary mentions stories of people experiencing, well, self-healing, apparently through belief and suggestion.
So the body responds to the mind state.
That's the core principle. If your mind is constantly filled with worry about getting sick, Murphy suggests you might inadvertently be creating conditions where illness is more likely.
Whereas focusing on health and vitality sends a different signal.
Exactly. You're directing the subconscious towards wellness, making it an ally in maintaining health. It's like the subconscious becomes an internal support system, guided by your thoughts.
It's important to remember, of course, this isn't necessarily instead of medical care, but maybe alongside it.
Oh, absolutely. It's generally presented as complementary. Murphy's focus is on the power of our inner world, our thoughts and emotions, and their role in our overall well-being.
And this applies to wealth and success too, right? That was another area mentioned.
Yes, very much so. And I think this is an area where many people are looking for answers.
How does the subconscious play into financial success or achieving goals?
Well, again, Murphy says it starts with your underlying beliefs about money and success.
Beliefs about money. Like
Right.
what?
Like, for instance, if someone deep down believes money is the root of all evil, or maybe rich people are greedy, or even just, I'll never be wealthy.
Those kinds of limiting beliefs.
Exactly. He suggests those beliefs lodged in the subconscious can actually act as blocks, preventing financial flow, even if consciously you want it.
So you might be working hard, but your subconscious is quietly resisting.
That's the idea. Conversely, cultivating beliefs like money is a tool for good, or I deserve abundance, or wealth allows me to help others, creates a more receptive internal state.
It opens the door, subconsciously, to opportunities.
It aligns your inner world with your outer goals. It comes back to that core principle again. The outer world tends to reflect the inner world of belief.
If your subconscious believes in lack, you tend to experience lack. If it believes in abundance,
You're more likely to attract or create abundance. It's about achieving that internal alignment first.
this all seems to build towards what the summary called the final key lesson. What's a big takeaway?
I think the most powerful, overarching message is simply this. You are the master of your destiny through the power of your thoughts.
We're in charge of the input.
We are. Murphy really emphasizes that the subconscious is, it's neutral, it's impartial, it just takes the blueprints we give it through our dominant thoughts and beliefs, and it gets to work.
It doesn't care if the blueprints are for a shack or a mansion, metaphorically speaking.
Precisely. It acts on whatever it's given, good or bad, from our perspective, which leads to his challenge, really.
Which is,
Well, if this incredibly powerful part of your mind is just waiting for instructions, why not intentionally give it instructions for life, for health, for joy, for abundance, for love?
choose the blueprints deliberately.
Yes. And he suggests a very practical starting point for anyone listening who feels intrigued by this.
What's that?
Just choose one affirmation, one positive statement that resonates with a change you'd like to see in your life.
Just one to start.
Just one. And commit to repeating it daily, especially at those receptive times. And crucially, repeat it with genuine feeling and belief. See it as planting that first seed.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive into the summary of the power of your subconscious mind, the central theme is really about potential, isn't it?
I think so. The potential we all have to influence our lives by understanding and directing the subconscious part of ourselves.
Using those techniques, affirmations, visualization, choosing faith.
It's about realizing that our inner landscape, our thoughts and beliefs aren't just passive things, they're active forces.
Right. They shape our experience. So for you listening, maybe you have a final thought to chew on, drawing from Murphy's ideas. Think about one area in your life right now where you genuinely love to see a shift, some positive change.
Okay.
Now ask yourself, what's one belief I currently hold about that area? And then what's one positive thought, one simple affirmation that I could start repeating today with feeling to begin nudging my subconscious in that new direction?
That's a great starting point, a powerful concept to explore for yourself.